Hello.
Are you just eating grapes?
I'm sitting here peeling grapes, laying back on my chaise lounge of Schadenfreude. It's just...
What's with you and the
so
props?
comfortable.
Ellie Mistel's eating popcorn on TV yesterday, and you're peeling grapes this morning. Okay, all right. We've a bunch
That's
of
all a man needs.
All our regulars are prop comics now. Joyce Vance is putting rubber chickens around a feeder.
I heard.
What's happening? Everyone's Carrot Top now that they've been on our show.
Well, yeah. We're in happier moods. That's why.
Malcolm, yes, I know.
Yeah.
You know what I just said to Joyce, which reminds me of you, is the one thing we always thought, right, that Mueller was doing a counterintelligence investigation and a financial investigation. Nope. Now what we're finding out, and look at how fast we got a grand jury when we finally get Trump's taxes, right? And find out that his entire business model has been fraud his entire life, right?
Yeah. Well, and we're going to get the goods because, yesterday I got bumped off of 11th hour. And let me tell you, the news was so interesting. I stayed up and watched all the way through 11th hour. It's just absolutely amazing. And certainly, you got the information from Joyce Vance on other matters. But it's just absolutely amazing how fast this house of cards is crumbling. It's June.
Yeah.
And that means this has been less than 5 months.
Not
and
even
we're finally starting to see, it's not even, and we're finally starting to see the whole process come together. I said it before, I'll say it again. Somebody tweeted it on November 3rd. It's all going to come out now.
I thought of you the other night, Malcolm, mostly you and me, when Rachel Maddow said what we thought happened with Russia. I mean, between the Manafort stuff that's coming, as you always said, this is all coming out now.
Grapes.
More grapes. I know. Right?
It's just so delicious. And when you get the green sour grapes, those are the ones that temper off the top of the Schadenfreude. Because how many times was I called a conspiracy theorist for my 4 books about Trump Russia, or 3 books about Trump Russia? All of this is turning out to be fact. And I really do look forward to seeing whether this Department of Justice, as Joyce Vance said, is going to actually consider the act. Like you said, you've got to have to get a very distinctive quid pro quo. But I think Manafort has a distinctive quid pro quo where he did go silent and lie in order to cover up the Russian relationship to this. The man had been working for Moscow for 20 years. He was hand-selected to be Trump's campaign manager. He picked Mike Pence to be Trump's running mate. And then Trump pardons him. There is a conspiracy in here. There is... there was collusion, and we're going to find out about it. It's all there.
Yes, Malcolm, it seems to me what you just said, crime on top of crime. We have now the original crime that I think we can't just let stand. A president committing obstruction of justice 10 times, an attorney general committing obstruction of justice, and now on top of it, corrupt pardons. I mean, I want to get, Lawrence Tribe said, it now looks like OLC went outside its lane to conclude the evidence Mueller gathered wouldn't have supported indicting Trump for obstruction even if he'd been a private citizen. But that's meaningless. No private citizen could have fired the FBI director. A lot of good points.
Correct.
And it's obviously a corrupt pardon because it was for the purpose of silencing Manafort about collusion, right? I mean, it's how many times do we hear no collusion, no collusion? And what we've learned every day is massive collusion, right? And massive obstruction.
And not just massive collusion with the Kremlin. We're talking the Kremlin's intelligence agencies working for Russian spies. And don't tell me that there's no way that, that there's the information which was collected circumstantially that was not included in the Mueller report is not there. I don't want to hear the FBI say, well, we're just trying to roll up the Russian spies on this one. There are American people who will when this is all said and done, and I've made this prediction before, the indicators are there that there was actual conspiracy with a foreign power.
Yeah.
You know, and it's gonna break out in Trump's finances. Yeah. Even if we just find out that all of those lands or those apartment sales were legal, but he was making them to the richest Russian oligarchs in the world, all who worked for Vladimir Putin, or were laundering Vladimir Putin's money, which meant that he was now in a position where he was being recruited as an asset. You know, I've said this before. I don't agree with Seth Abramson's assessment years ago, because he's a poetry teacher, that there was a signed written contract between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin that he would be a spy for Moscow. That's not how it works. But how it does work is that you identify that person as a potential asset. And as an asset, you test him by putting money in front of him that he can earn.
Yeah.
And so while he's earning those dollars that comes from your bank, or you're a billionaire, like when he bought that $50 million property and sold it for $92 million, they are testing you with other people's money.
Right.
There doesn't have to be a signed contract if you're willing to do anything for money.
Well, let me get one more. Asha Rangappa, who I know you know, said it seems clear from DOJ's current argument regarding the OLC memo that Mueller's philosophical argument underlying his decision not to conclude whether Trump's conduct amounted to obstruction was a big mistake and apparently wrong. What? Because, you know, you and I always defended Mueller, but look what's happening in New York. Why didn't he follow the money? I mean, remember Trump said, oh, well, that's a red line. His finances. Is that so? They just went, okay, we're not going to look into your finances. What? How do you not follow the money?
Midway through the Mueller investigation, and here's where I'm going to give some very, very big props. Sarah Kendzior started to say, it looks like, you know, and she's a scholar of authoritarian states out of St. Louis. She said, it looks like they chose Mueller because Mueller would always color within the lines. He would never, ever violate the OLC memo. He would never, ever indict a sitting president. He would never, ever investigate something, even if it was leading to crimes, because he was mandated not to investigate that. And when the final Mueller report came out, it was very clear he wanted to lean in those directions and that he wanted Congress to do his job. But he was specifically chosen because as the Boy Scout, the Eagle Scout, he wouldn't do anything that would damage the Trump administration. And Barr just immediately, with one swoop of the pen, which got me kicked off of air for 3 weeks, just came out and reframed it completely as innocence. Yeah. And we're finding it was actually guilt that any lawyer would do, but they politically massage the findings of that thing. And you know what? To be quite honest, there's nothing we can do about it unless we find written documentation or people come forward to say there was a quid pro quo.
Malcolm, so Thom McGahn is going to testify a week from today regarding Trump's obstruction of justice.
2 years after he was subpoenaed.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But
that was part of the plan too.
But do you feel like
the subpoena?
But do you feel no, exactly. But do you feel like that's going to be part of, going after Trump for obstruction? Thom McGahn.
No. Thom McGahn's going to give us nothing. You can't go after Trump for obstruction. I mean, just because he's out of the presidency now, they're going to use the exact same argument that they made for the impeachment for something which was in our face and on video, right? Mm-hmm. So what we need to do is we need to focus, and I know this is a little disappointing, but we need to focus on the things that he will be got for, right? I mean, all you can do is mar his legacy at this point. I personally think, and you'll have to check with Joyce and and others about this. I personally think Bill Barr should be immediately disbarred once this information comes out.
At the very least.
I mean, look, they're not even disbarring Lynn Wood, okay, who's going around saying QAnon is the greatest thing on earth. They're not even disbarring Sidney Powell, who said that Hugo Chavez from the dead engineered a president election 13 years in advance, knowing Donald Trump would become president, and has she's got a $1.3 billion lawsuit against her by Dominion voting machines and Smartmatic, and she hasn't been disbarred. I think there should be a more aggressive push to remove these people's livelihoods, who lied to the country, who use their positions as lawyers to essentially engineer the end of democracy.
Let's talk about January 6th for a second. So Ted Lieu was on yesterday, and he made a great point. He said the January 6th Capitol riot insurrection can't have been both a peaceful tourist visit and a violent Antifa BLM attack, right? Which is what they're arguing. Scott Dworkin says accomplices shouldn't determine how we investigate January 6th. I mean, this is really the extraordinary spot we find ourselves in. Right, is of course Republicans aren't going to vote for this because they're implicated. Their party's implicated. The leader of their party is implicated. What is your advice on what to do? Because I don't think we're going to get obviously Republican votes for this.
No. Besides write a 118,000 word book, which I just completed yesterday on this very subject. And believe it or not, if the Capitol attack hadn't occurred, I would only have about 80,000 words. The insurrection itself, which if you watch the Lincoln Project put out a brilliant ad this morning where they make it clear it wasn't an insurrection, it was an inside job. These people were voting, literally voted, and showed the nation they were out to stop democracy that day. And when when the insurrectionists couldn't do it through force, and there is still a lot to be learned about the role of Paul Gosar, King, and other people who had met with the crazy right-winger Ali Alexander, who claims that he coordinated the entire siege of the Capitol with 3 congressmen. Yeah. Right? These people would have to investigate themselves. So this morning you have Mitch McConnell.
I was just going to say, wait, you got to listen to this. You got to hear it because I think that's what you're going to say. Go ahead, Mitch.
I think at the heart of this recommendation by the Democrats is that they would like to continue to debate things that occurred in the past. They'd like to continue to litigate the former president into the future.
Checks notes 5 months ago. We would like to litigate the past. Something that happened 5 months ago, and a president that keeps relitigating the 2020
election.
And it's
nowhere near as serious as Benghazi, right?
Oh my God.
Where 2 people were killed in a terrorist act, and 2 other people were killed by a mortar shell, which, by the way, in combat is an act of God, right? You can't catch those things. You can't swat them back, right? 2, ex-CIA paramilitaries, and in the middle of a terrorist attack. And they investigated that. How many hearings? 10? How many hundreds and hundreds of hours did they put into that? And then they actually came out and confessed that was designed to hurt Hillary Clinton politically. No, that's not what this is about. The bastion of American democracy was attacked. I literally just wrote 13,000 words on the minute-to-minute of them going around that building and trying to hunt. As I said, the night of the insurrection, they had these hunter-killer teams. They had people there who were what we call a murder cell. And there were dozens of people with guns. Many people were caught with firearms. Yeah. One guy was caught with 11 Molotov cocktails in his truck, a rifle, 3 pistols, and all other sorts of sundry terrorist weapons. We haven't caught the person who blew up bombs on Capitol Hill. This is not a joke anymore. Yeah. These people are engineering the end of American democracy. And to do that, they must sustain the big lie. Donald Trump's lie that he is still president of the United States, which apparently 56% of Republicans polled say he is president right now. That's delusional.
Oh, we don't even have time to get to the other two I saved for you. QAnon and other far-right conspiracy theorists now believe UFOs are a distraction from voter fraud.
Oh, God.
Hillary Clinton directly appeals to QAnon to stop claiming she drinks children's blood. Oh my God, we live in a stupid time in our history.
Did she actually say that?
Yes, she went. She did the Sacha Baron Cohen documentary and addressed. She's like, please stop. This is hurting my family and me. I mean, it's just okay. Brett, and can I just say for all of us, thank you for...
Sacha Baron Cohen could have actually gotten her to say, "Yo, crazy! You're just crazy.
You bitches all crazy up in here.
Crazy with a capital Q. Knock it off. You nuts."
No one snaps back at Kremlin Cruz like you do on Twitter. Ted Cruz said, yeah, Colonel Vladimir Putin of the KGB is and always has been a communist. And you said, what a moron. Go on Russia Today or the Kremlin-loving OAN and say that. The Kremlin's ex-communist fascist oligarchs will laugh at what a useful idiot you are, Kremlin Cruz. Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Oh, my God. Ay. Malcolm, best of luck. Can't wait to read the new book.
Yeah.
Thank you for enjoying this grand jury day with us.
When might that book be coming out? Do we know yet?
Probably late fall.
Okay.
We'll see. It's going to editing now.
Very cool.
If you have not heard of the Sexy Liberal Podcasting Network, your podcasting superstation, you suck. I mean, we have the smartest, funniest liberals in the country. Stephanie Miller's Happy Hour. We have John Fugelsang. We have Hal Sparks, Frangela, Final Word and Idiot of the Week. We have Bob Seska. Oh my God. We have Jody Hamilton from The Bunker. We have Start Me Up with Kimberly Johnson. We have Unprecedented. We have the smartest, funniest podcast, period. Get it now. SexyLiberal.com.